Hey there, Coach Adam here, and today I'm going to talk to you about overall health and becoming the best version of yourself. Now, just for a quick disclaimer, there is no silver bullet, there is no easy way to do this. It is absolutely simple, but requires a ton of hard work over the course of a long time, right? You are the combination of all of the habits that you accumulate, all of the people you spend time with, and all of the things that you do. Now, here at CrossFit Closer, we talk a lot about physical fitness. We talk about nutrition and we talk about mobility as well, but in terms of you having the best life and feeling like you are the best version of yourself, there's a lot more to it than that. So to make improvements in things or to progress forwards in our lives, we need to first be able to measure and track different areas. So to simplify our measurement and tracking, what we've done is we've broken down all of the things that I could possibly want to improve upon and broke them into three main categories. And those are shown in this little diagram, this little logo we've made here, the Closer Strong logo, and that's broken down to mind, body, and spirit. So we're gonna dive into each one of those just a little bit more right now. So the first one here, or mind, the things that we kind of put into that category include, constant learning. I think it's Tony Robbins that likes to say, you're either growing or learning or you're dying, right? So constant progress in our mind, in terms, it's reading books, it's learning new skills, it's new languages, whatever that is, but progress in our learning. The second one kind of in there would be a sense of mindfulness. And for me, what that means is, am I aware of the thoughts that are going on in here? And do I have any say in how they move through me? So, I personally have a meditation practice with the goal of creating space between stimulus and response. So for a simple example, if I'm driving and I get cut off, do I have a second to realize that, hey, I don't need to respond to this? So a mindfulness practice to see what are my thoughts and have some time between stimulus and response. And then the other part that I'm going to put in the mind category is stress reduction. On a physiological standpoint, when we stress, be it through exercise or the type of stress that most of us consider when we hear the word stress, our bodies produce a hormone called cortisol, and consistently elevated levels of cortisol, as far as I know, reduce our body's ability to recover and increase performance. So the more we can reduce our stress, likely the better sleep and the better kind of everything's going to be as a result of that. Now the second one, if you hang around this gym, that's the straightforward, simple one, the body. What we'll put in there are obviously physical fitness, nutrition, mobility or recovery, sleep, the real tangible, measurable, those kind of easy ones to look at. Those are the ones that we put into the body category. And then for spirit, this one can be potentially a little bit more abstract, a little more subjective, but the types of things that I like to consider here are, your relationships. The way that we look at that is your sense of community, the people that are around you, your connections with them. I also like to put under spirit your connection with nature, right? It's so easy nowadays to get cooped up in a concrete jungle and not feel any kind of connection with, the world around us and nature itself. And then the last one that I really like to put in spirit is, play or fun. As we age, everything becomes so much more serious, and it's very rare that we go back to a place and get out there and do things that make us feel like we were when we were kids and give us that sense of fun and play. So that's what we put into the spirit category. Now, I'm not going to get into, obviously, specifics on how to improve each one of those, but really the best way that I've found to improve each one of these is by creating habits. So, say I want to get better sleep, right? I'm going to create a habit by giving myself a bedtime, giving myself a wake-up time, and sticking to that. I'm going to do it consistently for, the research shows different amounts of times, but we like to go with the concept from the book, The One Thing, and go with the 66 days, but for some people it's longer, some people it's shorter. That's not super important here, but I'm going to practice that habit that I want to create for a certain duration until my body wants to do it naturally and I no longer have to think about it. So choosing the thing that you want to work on, and then creating that habit and working on that habit until it's consistent, then add the next habit on top of it, is the way that you can start stacking those habits and making the progress that you're looking for. And here's where the big question comes up. Well, how do I know which habit to choose? Which area of this mind, body, spirit do I work on? What's the best for me? And I'm going to go back to that book that I like to reference all the time, and that's The One Thing by Gary Keller. You should definitely read it. And what I like to use from there is what's called the focusing question. So the focusing question is, what one thing that I can do now that by doing so will make everything else easier or unnecessary? So when I look at myself as a whole, I like numbers, I like graphs. What I would do is I would plot all of these things on a graph. So for example, like this, and we can put all the different things on the bottom, all the things that fit into mind, body, spirit. And likely what I'm going to see is that some of them are lower than the others. And this is obviously subjective. And the way that you can determine subjectively which one is important for you, and this is where it's not as fun, is the thing that you least likely want to work on. Right? The one that you see as the biggest challenge is likely the one that is going to give you the most bang for your buck. So if you were to measure them and you find that, hey, down here, there's this one that I really don't want to work on, it's probably the one that I have the most room for improvement on. By working on that one, it's going to make all the other ones easier or unnecessary to work on. It's going to make the overall progress of your whole being and your whole personal development that much easier and faster moving forward. So I figure I'll give a little bit of clarification or potentially an example of how you can use the focusing question to determine where your one thing is, your one area, your one habit to create lies. So we'll give an example of a typical person that may come to the gym, and what their life looks like is it's real busy, right? They're overtired. They're stressed, they're not eating right, they're not exercising, and they're trying to find out what's the one thing that's really going to make the difference. Is it going to the gym and working hard? Is it changing my nutrition? Is it changing my sleep habits? Is it decreasing stress? Is it having different relationships? And for example, let's say that person is so tired in the morning, and really that's their only time that they'd be able to work out, but because they're so tired, they're not going to the gym. And because they're not going to the gym, they're feeling crappy, and then they're eating junk food. And as a result, they're not productive at work because their brain's not working super well because of not great nutrition. And when they get home at the end of the day, they feel crappy, and then they don't have energy to play with their kids. So for me, I would ask that focusing question, and very likely I'm going to come up with better sleep is the habit that this person should create, right? So by getting better sleep and more consistent sleep, they're going to feel rejuvenated and awake in the morning so that they go to the gym. That starts their day off better, and they're more productive at work because they've gotten those endorphins going and they've had their workout and their brain works better. And then as a result, at the end of the day, they haven't spent as long at work because they've been more efficient, because they've been more productive. They get home maybe earlier, they're nice and excited to play with their kids, and at the end of the day, they're tired and ready to get back to bed, and then the cycle continues on that positive route. So quick example of how choosing that one thing that is the right thing for you makes all the other things easier or unnecessary. So likely if you're watching this, you're somebody who wants to be the best version of themselves and continuously grow and improve, and I hope that's given at least a little bit of a framework for you on how to choose the habits to create, and potentially how to create the habits and have them stick for moving forwards in your life. know that having a coach and having some guidance on this is always helpful, because it gives us some outside perspective on maybe what are the things that are really holding us back, and maybe they'll have some tips and tricks on how to get there. So I hope this was informative, and we'll see you next time.